be some kind of a financial apocalypse. Like,
well, no. So no, it wouldn't be like that. Okay. So the financial apocalypse is already happening. Um, so this is a little tricky. So stick with me on this. All right. Um, Hyperinflation is not an economic or a fiscal thing. Okay, you're going along, you got inflation at 40%, and then in 1 month, inflation could jump to 100 or 120%. All right, so my software has a certain bit of alarm showing, right? Okay, so my software has a range of values for building and release tension. Okay, so there's two different types of emotional tension. Building tension where you're getting ready to fight, and then the release where you're releasing it, right?
Welcome to Economy Express, your go-to destination for all things economics and finance. Whether you're an experienced investor, an inquisitive student, or just someone who wants to stay ahead in today's ever-changing economic landscape, you've come to the right place. Now, let's get into the details of our news.
Clif High, once again, long awaited. I haven't talked to you in a long time, Cliff, and I got to tell you, I'm honored to have you back on. I love our conversation. I miss our conversations, to be honest.
Yeah.
And you're one of the, mad, I would like to say geniuses out there that I consider like a mad scientist type of intellect. I love having you on the show, man, so thank you for coming back.
Sure, no worries, guy, no worries. Glad to do it.
I've had so many guests on my show, both on YouTube and on my back channels, and I know this is going to go pretty deep, but it looks like we're right in the smack dab middle of this war. It looks like when it's really starting to escalate. It looks like there's no slowing down. Both sides are going all in, and I know you created that software. Are you still using that software? What can you tell us, Cliff? I'll let you have the floor. What are you seeing pan out right now? What are you seeing happening? What's going on? What from your
Okay, so here's the thing. All right, so my software has a certain bit of alarm showing, right? Okay, so my software has a range of values for building and release tension. Okay, so there's two different types of emotional tension. Building tension where you're getting ready to fight, and then the release where you're releasing it, right? So like Terry Cassidy the other day was releasing all over you. Okay, so anyway.
A reminder.
Yeah, so here's the thing. So the top end of my scale is of the delta between the building tension and the release tension is 585. It sometimes is the difference is only in the threes, okay? Now these are just numbers. The numbers are not in and of themselves meaningful because they change slightly as I adjust numbers on the words. But what's important is the level of the range has been consistent since, more or less consistent. I've had to enlarge the range a couple of times since, say, like 2001, all right? So now we have a situation where the delta is not within that range. It's out here at 81 point something. Okay, so 13 times higher than our usual.
That is the tension in which, are you talking about like, you can tell by the chatter on the internet, correct?
Correct. My software is going through and picking up language that's being leaked, picking up the emotions, and it gets it right. And it gets it like that. And we'd have building tension, and then you'd have release of that language, right? And so what we're looking at, now this is release. That's like an outpouring, grief, suffering, wailing, all of that kind of shit, right? It could also be happiness. Okay, that's release. Partying, let's party. That's release language. Now, right now, it's hovering at 81 something. And so this would be like, looking like building tension, release tension, building tension, release tension, building tension, release tension.
Wow.
Right. So here's the thing.
Is there a way to tell between the two, between the release?
Yeah, it's release language that is dominating.
Is there like what kind of release it is? Is like
I don't think it's a party. Okay. I think it's pretty negative. I get confirmation on my stuff by watching people that are psychic, that have proven records as like remote viewers or psychic intuitives or whatever, right? And all over the internet, no matter what language, Iranian, Russian, Estonian, Albanian, all of the psychics are picking something up. All right. And my buddy, Dick Allgaier, and I'm going to talk to him tomorrow and we're going to do a video on this. He and his remote viewing group are also picking up something way big. Now, here's the thing with this. I'm not going to get into the details on his, but he has talked about this on JC's, on Beyond Mystic channel. They had a remote viewing, Dick and his group. Everybody goes to remote view and they all get this same subject, but it's nowhere near what the question was. And so everybody thinks, we screwed up. Something went wonky. So they do it again. And it happens again. Everybody gets the same thing, but it's nowhere near what the question they were being asked. So basically what happens is like this. If you're a psychic and you go out and you want to, or a remote viewer, okay, so remote viewers are like, in my opinion, they are the black belts of psychic. Okay, they're trained, all right? So they train themselves in a martial arts fashion to get better at their craft, whereas a psychic just goes along, right? And doesn't really know. They never examine it and so on. Correct. Okay, so the remote viewers here are saying that they want to go and look at this target. Here's the target. And that's where they're being sent by the remote viewing tasking. But their view is always pulled over this way no matter what they do. Okay, and it's because this thing is so damn big that it overshadows their ability to get at that. And correct. Okay, so here's the thing. I'll let Dick characterize it tomorrow in his group and stuff, right? But conceptually, this is the same thing that's happening with that 81 number. Okay, we're going to have some event that's going to have so much release language following it that it's going to dominate everything. And so I'm saying that this is between 3 and 13 times as emotive as 9/11.
Holy shit. And bigger than Lahaina? So, if you really think about this, we've kind of got a pigeonhole right now with Biden and everything that's happening with the House hearings. The walls are closing in on them. They're going to start playing. You don't think so?
They don't care about that. They don't care about that. That's a minor little ripple to them.
But they have to make some kind of big move, correct? They have to make...
No. Okay, so in my understanding, that would not be accurate, okay? That what's driving everything is the dollar, the money, okay? And so here's the deal. 9/11 was done to cover a financial situation. All of the financial records that would have exposed all of the deep state and everything were in Building 7. And what happened to it? Magically, it disappeared, right? As along with all the records. And we had that event that brought in the Patriot Act. So I would not be surprised right now that there was some dictatorial law that 2,000 pages of crap that they're trying, that's already ready to go for whatever this event is, okay? I believe that it's my thinking that this event is going to be triggered in the future by events that are going on now relative to the financial situation. And that in our Great War, the Great Awakening, the politics in the United States, all of that is a minor little battlefield, okay? It's not the main deal. So if this were World War II, and whatever this is that's coming is the equivalent of like D-Day, all of the political stuff that we've gone through in the last year are the little skirmishes in northern Africa between Rommel and the various British generals, okay? They're big deals, but, they don't really alter the nature of the war. All of that outcome is for sure already.
So it could be some kind of a financial apocalypse.
Well, no. So no, it wouldn't be like that. Okay. So the financial apocalypse is already happening. So this is a little tricky. So stick with me on this. All right. Hyperinflation is not an economic or a fiscal thing. Okay, you're going along, you got inflation at 40%, and then in 1 month, inflation could jump to 100 or 120%. Okay, it doesn't happen because of how much money they're putting into the system at that stage. It is entirely a psychological wave that sweeps through the population where they say, "Holy shit, this is not worth toilet paper. I got to spend this thing right now and get some level of value out of it because tomorrow it's going to be worth less. So if it took one of these to buy a sheet of toilet paper today, it'll take 2 or 3 of them to buy a sheet of toilet paper tomorrow. So I'd better spend it today." That's what hyperinflation is. It's this emotion, this tension, this building tension value around the value of the currency. And it just triggers. And the whole population within days, because one person starts panic spending, buying everything they can as though they were suddenly trying to hoard things, right? And the grocery store owner sees this, Mrs. Jones, why are you buying 3 carts full of steaks? That kind of thing, right? Exactly, panic buying. And the panic starts to spread. And so the panic ultimately spreads up into the financial people. All right, and so they can't have the people that the Federal Reserve cannot have a hyperinflationary episode work through the population of the U.S. They could sort of deal with it if it worked through dollars that are outside of our country, right? They could manage that a little bit. It would cause big problems here. We'd get up to like maybe 60% inflation, but somewhere between like where we're at now, which is like 40% inflation, and 60% inflation is the potential to trigger over to hyperinflation, where everybody, as soon as you get paid, you spend it all that day. Okay, this has huge ramifications for a system that is run on credit cards, and electronics. Because at the end of every month, when people got paid with paychecks or the end of every week, there's going to be a massive spike of spending. And then everything dries up in the rest of that week. And it really alters the nature of the social order. So the powers that be, the Federal Reserve, the mother weffers, they're fighting among themselves all the time. Our Federal Reserve right now is caught in a quandary. Do they try and save the Federal Reserve note and thus themselves, or do they pay attention to what Klaus Schwab and the mother weffers want to do? It is my thinking that the upcoming hyperinflationary wave that could hit the U.S. has to be offset in a 9/11 kind of a fashion. They need an event.
Don't forget to like our video and subscribe to our channel. Your comments are very valuable to us. Please make a small comment.